Well, this is a very quick lecture, a very quick guide to citing. Notice it's spelled C-I-T-I-N-G. If you cite a website, you are citing it, which is with a C, and the website is with an S. So I just wanted to get started with that. It's very important that we spell these correctly, please. So let's start with the basics. Generally speaking, there's many types of citation formats or citation styles. Pretty much at Purdue, you're going to find that we use APA, which is American Psychological Association Standard, or MLA, which is Modern Language Association Standard. And it's very, very important that you know what your prof wants you to use, okay? In my English classes, I prefer MLA because I'm better at it, all right? But if you're in a discipline and you're writing a research paper or a paper about something specific to your discipline that uses APA, by all means, feel free to do it. But whatever you do, you cannot mix them. You have to choose one style, one format, and you have to stick to that. So here, for example, I'm showing, and let's see if I can make it a little bit bigger. Okay, over here. One of the ways you tell, the easiest way to tell is with MLA, it starts with the author's last name, followed by the full name of the author spelled out, all right, then followed by the title of the article. APA is different. Still starts with the author's last name. That's always the case because you always alphabetize your lists at the end, all right, so you need to start with the author's last name. But they only use the initials of the author, not the full name. Then it's followed by the publication date and then the title. So notice how very different these two look. Here you see the author's full name, okay, in inverse order, followed by the title. The date comes much later, and then down here for APA, you have the author's last name, initials, second author in this case, and the publication date. So that's immediately how you tell what you're doing, okay. So let me go back to a smaller screen. Okay, moving on, trying to keep this short. In-text citations versus your list of sources. An in-text citation means just what it sounds like. It's inside the text. It's inside your document. Okay, so your paper is going to have two kinds. It's going to have the in-text citations, which come throughout your entire document. They're spread all the way through it, all right? Then at the end, you have your list of sources, and that's different. So your in-text citations are very abbreviated. They're very short. I'll get to that in a minute. And then your sources at the end is very, very detailed. And the in-text citations are like a key. They're like a link to the document at the end, to the pages at the end that give you the full information about the author. Okay, so you have to know your style or format. So this document at the end, the list at the end, if it's APA that you're using, it's called references. That's very, very important. That list is called references. If it's MLA, if you're using MLA style, author's full name, okay, then it's called works cited, right? So for example, let me show you, make this a little bit larger. Okay, so this is APA. You can tell immediately because look, author's last name followed by the initials. Okay, author's last name and the initials. Okay, this is multiple authors. Then the whole thing's followed by the date. Same thing here, author's last name, then the initials, then the date. All right, and this is called references. So right away I knew this was APA because I could see author's last name and the initials and the date. So we call that references. Something else you need to notice is that these lists are alphabetized by the author's last name. There's no numbers, there's no symbols or anything. It's alphabetized. And you have here what's called hanging indents. Some people use the tab key. You can actually set up your paragraph so it'll automatically do hanging indents. You can Google it if you want to, but they're called hanging indents. So it's the first line is all the way over to the left-hand margin. Then all the rest of the lines for the citation get indented half an inch. Okay, let me go back to the smaller screen. Okay, next. So the whole point here is to keep you honest, okay, to help you avoid plagiarism. In-text citations keep you honest. Correct and frequent citing show the reader where you located your source material. It lends authenticity to your own writing, okay? It shows the reader this is not your opinion, and it shows the reader where you got it from. You don't have to invent this, all right? It's okay to use other people's material as long as you give credit where credit is due, all right? So you cite two things always. You always cite quotations, of course, and it's good to quote in your essays, all right? You don't need to quote facts and figures. You can summarize those. You still cite them, all right? Quote the good language, okay? Quote the powerful stuff. That's what the quotes are for. And you always cite them, C-I-T-E. So once again, let me make this a little bit bigger. Okay, So in-text citations. MLA is very simple. MLA uses the last name of the author and the page number. So it's really excellent, and I'll get to this in a minute, when you're doing your research, if you can actually find PDF files, because a PDF file is actually essentially a photocopy of the article out of the academic journal it's in, and it has page numbers. It really helps you with your citing if you have actual page numbers. MLA does not use a comma to separate the material in the in-text citation, and it does not use P or PP. It's just the author's name and the last name and the page number where you found it from. It's that simple, which is why I like MLA. All right. APA uses the last name of the author and the date, and it may use a page number. Depends if you have them or not. And it also uses a P and a PP. PP standing for the range of pages. All right. So once again, very important to know the difference. All right. If you have a references list at the end, then you have to be using APA in-text citations. All right. If you have a works cited list at the end, then you have to be using MLA in-text citations. So this shows you the difference between the two. Okay, moving on. Helmke Library will do most of this work for you. Helmke Library will create the citations for the end of your work. Okay, it'll create your citations for your references, or it'll create the citations for your works cited list. You can let the library do it for you. Now you have to hunt around sometimes. It's not readily apparent where the material is, but it's always there. It's always linked to the article in the database. So the citation is not always correct. Sometimes for some reason they come through in all caps. You can't do that. Never ever use all caps in any kind of academic or business writing. It's considered rude. It's considered shouting, and you just simply don't do it. But for some reason, these citing engines that are in the databases, they sometimes use all caps for the titles of the articles. Don't do that and get rid of them. Okay. And I said this earlier, always try to find PDF files because they have page numbers. All right. So here's an article I found. I have a student in English 131.00 who's doing a presentation on marijuana legalization. So here's the article they found. All right. So at this point, you have, this is good news, comes with PDF full text. So that's why we chose this article. So if you'll click on the title of the article, all right, what you're going to get is this page comes up. Okay, if you click on the title of the article, and look, right over here, see where I circled that in red? There's your citation. That's what you want. So let me go down and show that to you. There we go. There it is. I clicked on that little red circle that I put there, and it came up, citation format, and you can't see it here, but there's a scroll bar right here, and I can scroll up and down, and I can see the different styles of formatting. All right. So in this case, I picked APA. All right, and I can tell right away author's last name followed by the initials, and the date. Okay. I simply copy and paste that, and I'm good to go. And everything's correct here. That looks good. You're ready to roll. Copy and paste that into your references, and you have your reference list started. So, of course, sometimes depending on your paper, depending on your class, depending on your prof, your professor, you might be using web pages. All right. Generally, it's sort of frowned on because anybody can put anything they want on Google, so it doesn't make it accurate. But sometimes you'll find good newspaper sources: Washington Post, New York Times, Wall Street Journal, Christian Science Monitor, and you'll want to know how to cite those pages. And it's hard. It's difficult. Okay. Any kind of web page is hard. So I recommend using easybib.com. Just type in that for the URL. And what's going to come up is a lot of ads, first of all, right? But if you look carefully and read it, and you never have to buy this, okay? That's why it has all the ads on it. It tries to get you to buy it, but you don't have to. Basically, it's just going to come up with a lot of questions and try to fill in all the blanks that you can, all right? Several steps are required, and if you're just patient and walk through it, you'll get the information that you'll need, and you'll come up with a pretty good citation. So right here, and let me make this a little bit bigger. Okay, so I typed in the URL. There was a blank screen. I didn't show you this, but there was a box on a screen. The screen went blank. It's full of ads. So I typed in the URL of the article from the New York Times from April of 2020. And I typed in the URL, okay, and immediately it found for me, easybib.com found the title of the article, the website title, the date accessed, the date published. These are all things that you need for the citation. It wanted to know the publisher, the sponsor, edit on next step. So I clicked here, continue, and then the correct citation finally came up. So it's several steps. You have to read it carefully. You don't have to purchase it, all right? And it'll work for any article. It works for just about anything, all right? But let the library do the citing for you on their articles. And, of course, for research papers, you get most of your articles from the library. And then anything else from a newspaper or .gov or .org site that you're using, type in the URL into EasyBib. Stay patient, walk through it, and it'll give you a pretty good citation. So summarizing, let me make this a little bit smaller. Okay, cite early and cite often, all right? That helps you avoid plagiarism, makes you look good, all right? Let the library do the work for you. The different databases, the citing information will show up different places, and the library has a lot of different databases. It might send you different places. One of my favorites, JSTOR. The citing information is there. You just have to hunt a little harder for it. There's Medline for people in medical fields. The citation information is there. Just hunt around for it. You'll find it. Try to find PDF files because they have page numbers. They make your in-text citations much, much easier. All right. And then do not mix up MLA or APA. Stick to one or the other. Summarizing, MLA uses author's full name followed by the article title. APA uses the last name followed by initials followed by the date. And then you always alphabetize your list. Never any numbers, never any symbols. And don't forget the hanging index. So hey, hope this has been helpful.